so we put this conference on every year with a committee of folks, and I want to thank our committee for all of their great work over the last year to get us here. First, my co-chair, George Carrico at the Brownfields Assistance Center at WVU. Also on our committee is West Virginia DEP, represented beautifully and wonderfully always by Erin Britton and Casey Corbini, who are somewhere here. Main Street, West Virginia, we have Jennifer Brennan and Mike Giolis, always working tirelessly with us to make this happen. Thank you, thank you. And we have started in the last couple of years adding some local hosts to our committee, which has been an amazing addition and really helps us highlight the area that we're in, and we love that addition. So I want to thank Betsy Morris and John Tuggle, Amanda Smar, Amy Showalter, Tracy McCoy, and Marianne Taylor. And then last two groups, we have some of you attended yesterday the LRS training hosted by the AWMA. And our representatives from that are Matt Ford and Lydia Work. Thank you all so much for putting that together. And finally, we're thrilled to have a new partnership with the APA West Virginia chapter, and Shay Straight, our representative from that, who may still be at his table in the back. So thanks to all of those folks. I also want to take a minute to especially shout out Becca Phillips, who is the real orchestrator of this event and is the reason it is so perfect and wonderful and knows all of the answers. So thank you to Becca and to her outreach team as well. The Brownfields Center staff from both Marshall and WVU are around. They should all have black ribbons on their name tags. They will help you. If they don't know the answer, they will find Becca and she will know the answer. So if you need anything, please find them and they will get you situated. And last but not least is Bucky. This is Bucky, if you're new here. He is our mascot. That's why he's around. That's why he's on t-shirts. He does take selfies. So get a picture with him, post it on social media. We love to see it. He has a good time, and he will be scattered about. And my last announcement is that we do have a really cool thing happening on Thursday at the end of the conference. We have some folks coming to do an emergency response scenario. So it's a pretend you're in a disaster scenario. So you'll get an assigned role. You're going to walk through a disaster, probably something related to flooding. And what would you do in that scenario? It's very cool. I've heard from folks who did it that it was a really informative and a whole lot of fun. That's at 2:00. It is free, but we need people to sign up in advance. So there is, some of you signed up before. You're all set. There is also a sign-up sheet at the registration table. So please do that today so that we can make sure we get you into that great session. All right, and so without further ado, I am excited to introduce to you our host, the Mayor of Summersville, who has welcomed us into his community. He's going to share a video with us and some words, so I'll invite him to the stage, and our fabulous tech guys, who I also should have shouted out, will get that situated. So welcome.
Welcome to the city of Summersville, a small city with big city opportunity and attitude. Our city has something for everyone. Whether you're looking for outdoor adventure, dining, shopping, or simply a place to relax. We're home to Summersville Lake, West Virginia's largest lake and newest state park. There you can kayak on tranquil waters, explore miles of breathtaking mountain trails, or just unwind by the lakeside. And if you're looking for a thrill, you can experience our world-class rock climbing and some of America's best whitewater rafting. Located here in the heart of West Virginia, we're the gateway to the New River Gorge National Park. So whether you're a solo traveler seeking great views or a family looking to create lifelong memories, Summersville is the perfect destination for everyone. Welcome to the city of Summersville, our little piece of paradise. Good morning. How many of you are first-time visitors to Summersville? All right, I see a lot of hands. What an opportunity for us. First of all, we're so thrilled to host this conference here in the city of Summersville. I love the great state of West Virginia, but I really, really love the city of Summersville. And what I encourage you to do is, number one, is our home is yours. Please, if there's anything that we can do to make your stay with us better or easier, all you got to do is ask. And secondly, I challenge all of you that have never been here before and you're here for business to come back for pleasure. You know, sometimes we as West Virginians miss our opportunities in exploiting what we have in our great state, and that's a lot of adventure
and outdoorism for all to enjoy regardless of your age. So on behalf of the City of Summersville, I can't thank you enough for coming to our fair city, and I certainly welcome you back, and I wish you all a fabulous conference. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're enjoying your lunch. And speaking of lunch, I would like to thank our lunch sponsor, ECS Mid-Atlantic. You should definitely thank them because you don't have to pay extra for the guacamole. All right. No takers. All right. I'm Casey Corbini. I'm Deputy Director for Mediation Programs at the West Virginia DEP. And I love working in the DEP's Office of Environmental Remediation because we get to work all year long with all of you on your incredible projects in our state, enhancing our citizens' quality of life and improving our economy. And it's just such a rewarding job, even though we're still a small part of it, of such a larger picture, but we really enjoy it. And we also get to partner with the EPA Region 3 Brownfields program. And it is such a pleasure partnering with them, bringing resources to our state and identifying opportunities. And we are very fortunate to have many EPA Region 3 Brownfield staff here today. So we have several Brownfield project officers, if you'd like to stand up. We also have Joe Novak, the section manager of the Brownfields and Redevelopment section. And Susan Spielberger, and Susan, I can't say this without looking at it. So the branch chief of the Brownfields Pollution Prevention, Sustainable Materials Management, and Program Support Branch, and the Land, Chemicals, and Redevelopment Division. But today we also have the pleasure of welcoming the EPA Region 3 Regional Administrator, Adam Ortiz. And it's my privilege to introduce him as our keynote speaker here at lunch. So Adam Ortiz has been serving as the EPA Mid-Atlantic Regional Administrator since November of 2021. And in this role, he oversees federal environmental and public health protections all throughout EPA Region 3, which includes Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, and the District of Columbia, and also 7 federally recognized tribes in our geographic area. So during his tenure, he's been focusing on infrastructure, enforcement, climate resiliency, environmental justice, and restoring the Chesapeake Bay. And he has a leadership principle to engage, align, and deliver, and that guides his regional staff while fulfilling the agency's mission to protect human health and the environment. But Adam doesn't just talk the talk, he also walks the walk, literally. He is a strong proponent of being in the field, and since he's taken this role, he has logged over 13,000 miles, participating in over 450 meetings with stakeholders and partners in every corner of the Mid-Atlantic region. But we all know Adam likes West Virginia best. Adam has gone out of his way to visit sites, attend meetings, and listen and personally speak with our impacted communities here in West Virginia ever since he's taken his role as regional administrator. We're very grateful for that. Thank you, Adam. In his spare time, Adam likes to be outside paddling and hiking, so we sure hope he's taking advantage of his time here in our special area of the state where we have the newest national park and the newest state park. So Adam loves talking to all of you, and if you get a chance, let him know your favorite spot in the state to hike or paddle. But without any further ado, I would like to invite Adam Ortiz, our keynote lunch speaker, EPA Region 3 and Regional Administrator.
Thank you so much, Casey, for that kind introduction. Actually, I injured my arm because I was trying to skip out of the last session with George, and then somebody pulled me back in and said that I had to speak. But I do try to get out as much as I can, and folks who I've had the pleasure of meeting before, every time I come here I wear my trail shoes so I can get out and enjoy this incredible state as much as possible. And I think that's important for all of us, that we're here to save the world, save our communities, but we also have to savor the world and savor our communities, to truly appreciate what we're fighting for. But thank you for all the organizers. Thank you, Casey. I always appreciate you. You're so inspiring. And all the consonant named women. So Casey, Carrie, Katie, Catherine, and then George, Ray, Becca, incredible team putting this event together. So can we have a round of applause for them and all the folks behind the scenes who made it happen today. I also want to express my appreciation to Deputy Secretary Scott Mandarola. Scott is such a tremendous partner. There's nothing that EPA does in West Virginia or any state, but particularly the Mountain State, without working with Secretary Ward and with Scott, and they've been tremendous partners every step of the way. I've spent a lot of time in their offices, a lot of time out in the field, and Scott also, comes out into the field a lot. So Scott, I just want to thank you publicly for being such a tremendous leader and friend to the environment, and just leaning in and getting things done. So thank you, Scott, and your entire team at DEP. I also, I'm a former small town mayor. I'll talk about that a little bit. It's always careful mayors talking about themselves and their careers. But I want to thank you, Mayor Schaefer, for your incredible hospitality. Every time we're here, everything is so smooth. There's so much energy that you bring, and your teams and your facilities, the assets that you manage. You're just a place that people keep coming back to, and that's not by accident. That's because of your leadership and the way that you've led this city over the years. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And thank you to the staff who've served the food today. There's a lot of folks behind the scenes. I don't know about you, but I just had a delicious meal with incredible customer service. So give me a round of applause for the folks who are behind the curtain and working so hard. The work that we're doing is important, and it's happening at such an important time. One of the great things about the Brownfields program is that we work across disciplines, that we work across sectors, whether it's the public sector, the private sector, whether it's nonprofit organizations or universities, residents, business owners, big, small, staff people, across the board, because the challenges that we face are also interdisciplinary. It's not just an environmental issue. It's often an engineering issue too. It's also a recreation issue as well. It's also an equity issue. It's also an access issue. And one of the great things about this program is that folks sit at the same table together to figure things out. That there's no solo performances at all. It's truly a team effort, because the environment is a team effort. All this stuff is complicated. It requires a lot of different perspectives. And this program, and it's not just about the program, but what the program inspires is people to talk and get together and figure things out. And one of my favorite terms is silo busting. We bust silos. We get out of our comfort zones a little bit. We go to the places that we have to go to. We have the conversations, and we ask for real feedback, because only with real feedback can you fix real problems. And it's not one conversation, and I was just sitting next to Lois, it's many conversations. It's not one solution, but it's figuring out solutions or new solutions over time and seeing the long game. Because the work that we're doing is not a quick fix. The places we're trying to clean up did not happen overnight. The stuff that's in the soil that needs to be pulled out, or in the water, in the groundwater, got there 10, 20, 50, sometimes 100 years ago. And to turn that around To put that on a better place requires intentionality, requires perspectives, requires us to listen and learn together and lean in and figure the tough stuff out. And also share the vision that maybe people don't buy into yet, or they don't quite see. That there's a better place that we can get to, and it's different from today. But just hang in there. Let's talk about it. Let me share that with you. And I know that those are the conversations that you're in all the time, and that they matter. Folks are busy. They're dealing with today or tomorrow, or getting their kids to school, or dealing with, what's happening in the next pay period. But we're in charge of that stuff, but also the long vision, the transformation. And that requires confidence. That requires faith, faith in the vision. That requires commitment. And knowing that sometimes we're going to be let down. Knowing that sometimes it's going to take a little longer than we expected or didn't figure it out. And that's really hard stuff to do every day. So I thank you and congratulate you for hanging in, for figuring it out. And that's one of the reasons why myself and my team are so invested in your work. And we go to these conferences in other states, but it is different here, Casey. It is different here. So yesterday, I signed up for one of the tours. I signed up for the Richwood tour. And I want to thank Ray and Stacy and our bus driver Amy for taking us around. Thank you so much, Ray. It was so inspiring, and our team at EPA has been talking about Richwood for some time. It's one of our priority communities because it's by statistics and quantitative and qualitative data, it's an overburdened community. Many of us are familiar with the 2016 flood, 1,000-year flood, and I know other communities struggled recovering from that flood as well. There's all the stuff you can think of, legacy stuff, population decline. All that's true, but what is also there is this incredible resilience. And so I've been hearing about Richwood, and we're working with them on the wastewater treatment plant and getting it out of the floodplain because that was impacted. We're partnering on the Brownfields efforts, all that kind of stuff. But you can kind of hear it, and even hearing the staff be inspired about it, but it's not the same as walking around, as Casey said, getting out into the field and walking the streets and hearing the stories from people. Like that was, it wasn't just the deliverables. There were a lot of deliverables. There was a beautiful mural in a sculpture garden, a place that was reclaimed from a dilapidated building that had to be taken down. I see some nodding heads. That's not unusual. That a lot of structures had been taken out or improved, and that's a work in progress. That trying to get the manufacturing in the area located in the city so there can be access to amenities and support for the infrastructure there. And that people kept figuring it out over and over again. And that most of the storefronts were now full. It was pretty. It was beautiful. It was enjoyable to walk around. There was some weird stuff. And I say a good weird. I know we're talking about weird a lot in politics these days. Not the bad weird, the good weird, like just kind of interesting, creative, challenging. Somebody with an idea for a coffee shop, which is where I got this shirt from former Mayor Jeremy, who served in public service for a little while and started this coffee shop and a print shop and a florist, and is just kind of figuring it out. That's inspiring. That's fun. That brings people together, or the art gallery, or the other public spaces that were made. And even those ideas that might not be the major manufacturer or the landing the big customer or the big client, those things are important too. And listening to Mayor Jeremy speak, he said that when he was mayor, I think more than 50, sorry Jeremy, about 30 years ago, he said there was a real lack of hope in the community, and that he thought the best thing he could do was plant a flower. That was the metaphor he used. I'm going to plant a flower. I'm not sure if it will grow. I don't know if it's going to be a garden, but I'm going to plant a flower. And to have that type of faith that little act can mean so much more paid off. he and others, work together to provide hope and inject that community with hope once again. And there's energy there, there's cool stuff, and I know all of you have these stories as well. And it's not just about the deliverable, the building or the park or the trail, that's important. But also people feel that this is a place of joy, of wellness, of fun. And people want to be a part of that. Not just residents or businesses, but funders, other levels of government, philanthropy, universities, people who are looking for a place to stay in the area on their weekend trip to the gorge or to the lake or to the mountains. That kind of energy is attractive. It brings other partners. And with these other partners, and many of us have had this experience, you get an idea you didn't have before, or a resource they didn't have before, and something they want to do as well, and they're looking for a partner to do it. And then it grows way beyond that flower, into an incredible meadow, an incredible garden, incredible farm. And that I really related to that because that's where the magic is. We want to live in great places. We want to live in fun places. We want, to get a cup of coffee. We want to bring our families. We want to invite our friends. That's the magic stuff. Years ago, when I was talking to Mayor Schaefer, I was also a small town mayor, as was mentioned in the introduction, of a tiny town, 1,300 people, working class town in Maryland. And I remember when I was running for mayor, and I told this story a little while ago, so forgive folks from the other group, but it gets better every time I tell it. So, hopefully you'll like it even more. But when I was running for mayor, I knocked on every door, whether people were registered to vote or not. And my question was how can we make this community better? And I asked elderly folks, I asked younger folks, I asked kids, if the kids answered the door with their parents. I asked folks who'd lived there their whole lives, or veterans of World War II. At the time, that was a substantial part of the population. And new immigrants, people who recently arrived from Central America or Africa. And I was, what do you think? How can we be better? And I remember this one interaction. It was my first day door knocking, actually. It was on my street, a block and a half down the street, a woman who I hadn't met before. And she was a 30-something woman. And I asked the question, how can the community be better? And she said, I don't think I'm the right person for you to talk to. And that piqued my interest because, and I was like, no, you're exactly the kind of person I want to talk to. Why do you feel that way? She said, well, I'm in the process of moving out of here. And I was like, okay, well, I really want to know, what's going on? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Why do you want to move out of here? It's an affordable community. There's some amenities. But she was like, this is a sad and run-down place. That was her comment. This is a sad and run-down place. And she wasn't wrong. She wasn't wrong. There were very few trees on the main street. There was not a lot of accessibility. There was a lot of infighting in the community, in the town. A lot of empty buildings, empty homes that weren't taken care of. The police weren't very nice to the community members. And I said, well, I want to make that better. How can we work together? So we talked a little bit, but that really stayed with me. And talking to other folks in the community, and there was, of course, like any community, a range of feelings, a range of opinions. Some people thought it was the best place on earth. Some people was like, well, this is our starter home, and then we're going to move out to the county or move someplace else. But that stayed with me. And then what occurred to me there was that, it's the everyday stuff. It's not just the big business that comes, but it's the everyday stuff. Am I proud to live in this place? Is it a beautiful place? Do I feel proud when I come into the community? Am I happy with what I see? Am I happy talking to my neighbors? Those intangibles. And those intangibles sometimes come from intangible things, but also come from tangible things as well. So, I did my best to bring people together, and I won the election. It was uncontested, but I'm still very proud of that victory. And mostly because in some little towns, nobody else wants the job. I know there's other mayors who don't have the bandwidth. So I tried to bring people together, and I was telling Mayor Schaefer, we were a split council. There was a Republican, it's a nonpartisan Republican, an independent leaning Republican, and 2 Democrats. Immigration was happening a lot at the time, so there were these divisions, and I was like, let's just sit down and figure things out, folks. Let's figure it out. And we had a good rapport. And of the hundreds of votes over the years I was in that role, I think we did not have a unanimous vote maybe 4 times. 4 times. Just because we figured it out and listened. And we faced some tough stuff. So our community flooded 4 years in a row, had the 100-year flood 4 years in a row. So this was around the time of Katrina, when it was clear that the climate was changing and that our infrastructure couldn't keep up with the new storms and the new weather patterns. And that was devastating for a working class community. Folks, their homes were underwater. Some folks rented basement apartments in a house, which completely flooded, where all their belongings had floated to the ceiling, destroyed. Family albums, personal records, you name it, personal effects. And in this little town with a tiny budget, our budget was around $400,000, small staff, we're like, how are we going to figure this out? But we stuck together and we asked for help. We talked to the county government, which is in charge of flood control. We talked to the Army Corps of Engineers. We talked to the state regulators. We talked to grant agencies. We met with funders. We talked to the University of Maryland. And a lot of times, I still don't always know what I'm talking about. I'm just like, hey, this is a problem that we're facing. How can we figure it out together? How can we co-create a solution? Are you interested in bringing something? Are you interested in helping? And what we found was, across the board, people had ideas. People wanted to participate. People wanted to help. And we were able to accomplish a lot of things for a little town that people didn't at the time think were possible, and they are not my successes. They're successes of people coming together, bringing things to the table. So we stopped the flooding. We were able to get 3 Archimedes screws the size of school buses. And if you don't know what an Archimedes screw is, look it up. It was invented by Archimedes from ancient Greece, and it's a screw pump technology that works in certain situations at a certain speed. I had no idea about that, but a professor from a local university had suggested that, and we included that as an option in the RFP, and we had an engineer that built it, that stopped the flooding. Now we know that is climate resilience, but we stopped the flooding. We also said that, hey, having this experience, we have to be responsible for our environment. So we decided to make the town as sustainable as possible, so we're not passing our stormwater to a town downstream that may also flood. So we worked with the university and with local environmental organizations and designed the greenest street in the state of Maryland. It captured 100% of stormwater. It had LED lights. We had a wind power purchase agreement. And this was in like 2007, so it was all kind of new at the time. We had pedestrian access. We created ADA-compliant sidewalks that connected to hiker and biker trails. And sure enough, people showed up. People were out. People were hanging out. We put a gazebo in the park for people to, these little quality of life things, but they also transformed. And we sort of just figured it out. And I visited the community a few weeks ago. Now every street has stormwater management. There's 43 stormwater management tree boxes or bioswales throughout this tiny town. And then people come from all around the world to tour it. And again, it was not my success. This is stuff that we figured out together because we had the NGOs, because we had the university, because we had the states involved. So that's where I just learned so much. And coming into this role, and I'm part of the Biden-Harris administration, so I might have 4 more years or 4 more months. We'll find out soon enough. But that's what I've tried with our team to bring is that not just in this already exists in our program. So you've met a lot of our team, including our newest member Dawn, who joined recently. But to bring that to the entire agency, in the water division, in the Superfund division, in the air division, It's not just enough to issue a regulation. You know, we have to do that. That's part of our job under the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act and the other laws. We have to do our job. You know, and some people don't like it when we have to do those things, but we have to do them. But that, as it turns out, is a really small percentage of what we do. Budget-wise, personnel-wise, and even influence in power in helping transform and clean up the environment. So much more. And even by the numbers, like 80% of our resources, our bandwidth, is really to partnership. Whether that partnership is technical assistance, whether that partnership is grant making, whether that partnership is convening, bringing people together to figure things out. And that is how we're shifting so much as an agency. And we have more resources than in a long time to do that. A lot of y'all who've been receiving funds and are able to scale up projects or do those things that were sitting on the shelf for a long time. You know, that's done because of sometimes unusual collaboration, you know, between the president and members of Congress to invest in our communities again and to help agencies accelerate the work on the ground. So that's really our job now. You know, we do have the regulation role, but our job really is to support you and to support communities like yours throughout this country. Folks who are inheriting the tough stuff but are willing to take it on. Folks who might have communities that are divergent or diverse or changing but still bring people together to figure something out that you're commonly facing. And you're like, yeah, we're doing stuff, Adam, but you know, we could really use a little help with this. You know, can you help us get some funding for this? You know, we're a little place. You know, we don't have the resources for that, or the state grant program is maxed out. What can we do? We're struggling with this issue with the aquifer and whatever contaminant. And the answer is yes. That is our job. That is our principal mission, is to accelerate your problem solving, to accelerate the restoration in your communities, to give you a boost. That's what we're about more than anything else. So that is important that we come out. And it's not just important that we come out, but as Mark Farrell says, who's on our team, Mark is in the back there, stage left, and he says it a lot, and I intuitively knew this, but now it's explicit, is like it's not just important to show up, it's more important to come back, and to come back, and to come back, and to come back. That it's not a photo op, that it's not feeling important or handing out business cards or meeting the mayor. It might be all of those things to some degree, but it's about long-term transformation in the tough stuff that you're taking on. So that's what we're about. So just a few things. I'm probably overstaying my welcome a little bit, but you keep inviting me back to these conferences. I'm like, am I Journey? Or Red Hot Chili Peppers? I keep hearing this song, kind of tired of it, but it's okay. It stays on the radio station. But nonetheless, it's an honor to be with you again and to just share notes from our perspective at EPA. So as you probably know, our regional office is based in Philadelphia. Headquarters is in Washington, but we're based in Philadelphia, and we have offices in Wheeling and Annapolis and Fort Meade. But our teams are out a lot, and I think this is my 22nd trip myself to West Virginia, but our teams are here all the time. And there's probably 30 or 40 communities I've visited, maybe more, maybe less. But our folks are in hundreds and hundreds of communities here repeatedly, again, helping to give a boost. So, as you also probably know, the Brownfields program was created in 1995. Since then, we have given out $58 million just in the Mountain State. $58 million for a $2.5 billion return on investment. And we can't do that. That's where the partnership comes in. That's where inviting folks to your table comes in. That's where reaching out comes in. Today we have 121 active brownfield sites in 43 communities. and we have ongoing work in so many others. And this year, we've awarded more than $7 million to 7 grantees. And as I mention your community or your organization, please stand up. Bellamar Regional Council, Huntington Area Development Council, the City of Morgantown, New River Gorge Redevelopment Authority, Raleigh County Parks and Recreation Authority, Region 1 Planning and Development Council, and the City of Wheeling. Can we have a round of applause for all of our new grantees? So welcome to the family, to the new grantees. This is a long-term relationship we all have together. And I encourage you, and I encourage everybody in the room, to not be shy. To not be shy about anything. Because we're here now. Who knows how long we're going to be in this job, in our jobs or our positions, or have these opportunities. We've got to keep it moving. We've got to be inspired. We've got to get things done while we have this incredible moment in time, because we don't know how long it's going to last, although we're going to make it last as long as possible. And one of the great things about the public enterprise that we're in together is that there's no intellectual property. So if Summersville is doing something innovative, that can be borrowed by the City of Wheeling. If Ranson is doing something interesting, that can be borrowed by North Fork. There's so much that we can learn together. There's so much wisdom in this room. There's so much power in this room. So don't be shy in any way. Don't be shy if you have an idea or have an experience based on your wisdom and the gifts that you have that could benefit somebody else across the room. Don't be shy. Or if you're struggling with something like, it's taken a long time to do this, or we can't quite get this entity on board, or my staff is getting burned out, or whatever it is, don't be shy. You're already hearing lots of stories at this conference. Walk across the room and introduce yourself to that person who's had success in an area where you're looking to get success, for sure. If you're inspired by somebody, go say thank you. Get their card, follow them on social media, because we need that inspiration. We need it moving. Or if you just think that person is kind of cool, or you've always wanted to go to that place, or you were at that place, or you heard something about their project, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Extend your hand, exchange business cards, follow each other on social media, because we're really, truly all in this together. It's the only way that we can succeed. It's the only way that we can be, is in it together. And lastly, most importantly, this is fun. Have fun. We're doing joyful work. It's such a privilege to do this work on behalf of our communities. It's such a privilege to do this work on behalf of generations of people who are going to come after us and enjoy the rail trail, enjoy the park, enjoy the building, enjoy the job opportunity, enjoy the prosperity, enjoy the beauty of a place that you helped recreate. That's awesome. So let's smile, let's get to know each other better, let's work together, and let's have so much more fun. So thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.